There are an insane number of habit trackers out there, and the ones I actually liked usually had a subscription model, or at least the option to buy them once for $99 for an app where I check off habits. No thank you. So I thought, fine, I will just build my own habit tracker exactly the way I want it. A simple website that I can also open on my phone, add a few habits, check them off every day, done. But done my way. And besides, everyone keeps saying how easy everything is with AI now. So I thought, why not just build it with AI, a small weekend project, at least that's what I thought. I called the whole thing PowerHabit. Cool. Then I opened Visual Studio, brought in Claude Code, back then still on the about $20 plan, and got started. And at the beginning, I really felt surprisingly easy. It's not that complicated, I thought. A bit of HTML, a bit of CSS, a bit of JavaScript. Claude just quickly did it for me, and it worked. And that was exactly the problem. Because as soon as something works, you start getting ideas. First I thought a second language would be nice. Let's do it probably right away. Then custom icons would be cool. Maybe a few images, maybe better cards, and with every new idea, new terms started showing up. I'm not a professional web developer. The last real website I built was more like 20 years ago. And suddenly I was dealing with things I had heard of before, but I had basically never really touched. Node.js, NPM, TypeScript, React, Vite, Tailwind, Next.js. I just went along with all of it, and somehow it worked. Until I wanted to use PowerHabit on my desktop and on my phone. On the desktop, Habit A was done, but my phone had no idea, and I was just sitting there thinking, wait, what? I already checked that off. So suddenly I had to deal with databases, user accounts, login. This project was only supposed to be for me. Claude suggested, why don't we just create a Superbase account? It's free as long as you log in regularly. Free? Sounds good. Let's do it. But getting all of that to actually work properly took a while. Trust me on that. Before that, I had simply saved everything on my computer. And on my computer, the version chaos was absolutely real. PowerHabit 01, PowerHabit 02, 03, final, really final. But then Git and GitHub entered the story. And honestly, that was a real relief, even though at the beginning I didn't understand any of the Git terminology at all. Commit, push, pull, branch. Internally, I nodded along as if all of that made perfect sense. It did not. By now I was using so many technologies that I needed an overview myself. Something like building websites in 2026 for people whose last website was 20 years ago. So I asked Claude to create a nice looking document for me, explained super simple, and suddenly I felt like, okay, now I'm the hero, at least for about 5 minutes. Part 2. The core idea. Now I could finally get to the thing that makes my tracker special. Because there's one thing that bothers me about normal habit trackers. It's pretty easy to fool yourself. Forgot to check something off yesterday, just add it today. Don't want to lose your streak? Tick the box anyway, convenient, but also a little dishonest. So with PowerHabit I wanted the opposite. The app shouldn't only reward me when I do something. It should also notice when I don't. Complete a habit, you gain points. Honestly say, I didn't manage it today, you lose a few. But enter nothing at all and you lose a lot more. Because looking away should cost more than failing. And there's a reward for patience too. The longer you stick with a habit, the more points it's worth. So staying on track doesn't just keep your streak alive, it actually pays off more over time. And all of that feeds into one picture. At the top, there's the progress bar. Every habit fills it a little. Reach 100 points, you level up. The whole thing gets friendlier as you go, even the colors warm up, and you can see that shift in your statistics too. And with every level, an image grows. At the start it's just an empty green meadow, but bit by bit it becomes a city park. Paths, trees, small details, characters, like a hidden object picture that builds itself up, all the way to a city park festival. And of course there are plenty of rewards along the way whenever you hit a certain milestone. But it works in reverse too. Ignore your habits and the park doesn't just stop growing, it empties out, gets darker. And if you do nothing for long enough, the meadow doesn't turn into a festival, it turns into a graveyard. A bit dramatic for a habit tracker, but that's exactly what I liked about it. Because it's a metaphor for the things you take care of or don't. There's also a small story hidden inside it. Every level unlocks a new part about this city park, but really about yourself. And the last page is always missing. You have to find it inside the picture. Zoom in, look closer, click around until you find it. Not a big game, just a small reward for sticking with it. And of course you couldn't see any of the chaos underneath. Behind every chart, the data problem. The hardest part of all, the check after midnight, making sure the points actually added up. Part 3. The costs. And the bigger the project got, the bigger another problem became. The costs. At the beginning, the cheap cloud plan was completely enough. $20, that was fine. But at some point, the worst thing that can happen in a project like this started happening more and more often. You are right in the middle of a problem, almost at the solution, and suddenly you hit the limit. Session over, credits used up. So in a rush, I switched on the API just so I could keep going. And that was dangerous, because it's very easy to forget that every attempt costs money. In 1 month, I ended up at over $200 for an app I had started building so I wouldn't have to pay for a subscription. Then I discovered that with Copilot, you could also use Claude for around $40, more tokens, less stress, and that actually helped. But the strongest model wasn't always available, some bugs took longer, some solutions weren't quite clean, and in the end I lost time again. So I finally bit the bullet and went for the $100 version of Claude. And ironically, that was the one that really moved the project forward. Up to that point, PowerHabit was still just a website. And honestly, I could have been happy with that. But there was one thing I couldn't get out of my head. Reminders. It would be pretty useful if PowerHabit could send me a message in the evening. Something like, you haven't entered anything today. And remember, at midnight it's over. So I casually asked Claude, how do you actually do that? Phone notifications from a website? To be honest, I expected the answer to be, you can't. Instead, I got a word I had never heard before, capacitor. With that, Claude said, you can turn a website into a real app with its own icon, with notification, and even with the option to put it in the Google Play Store. Google Play Store? My little website? The thing was supposed to be a weekend project. From that moment on, the idea was in my head and it wouldn't go away, so I kept going. With Capacitor, I actually turned PowerHabit into an Android app. I could install it on my phone with its own icon, with real notifications, and that was the moment PowerHabit stopped feeling like a website for the first time. It felt like a real app. I will just quickly build myself a habit tracker had suddenly turned into an Android app. And then something happened that I generally hadn't planned at the beginning. I thought, wait a second, maybe this could help other people too. And right after that I thought, wait a second, maybe I could even make a little bit of money with this. Not with a subscription, never. I had only started this whole project because subscriptions annoyed me in the first place. But maybe with donations, or maybe at some point with small extras, very carefully. So I looked into how to get an app into the Play Store. And of course, for that, you first need a Google developer account. A one-time payment of about $25, one time. I like that word, one time, you will see. So I created the account, paid the $25 and thought, okay, surely not that much can go wrong now. And of course, a lot could still go wrong. Part 4. The testers. And suddenly I was dealing with things that only had something to do with programming on the very edges. Because if you want to get an app into the Google Play Store, you first have to get through Google's rules. I thought, okay, developer account paid for, upload the app, done. Of course, that was not how it worked. Because then came the next sentence I had absolutely not expected. Before a new app can be released publicly, it first has to go through a closed test with at least 12 testers for 14 days. 12 testers. I sat there thinking, 12? I had an iPhone, my family iPhones, friends iPhones, and of course, iPhones are not very helpful when you need people to test an Android app. Surprise! Somewhere I still had an old Android phone lying around, so I dug it out, charged it and thought, okay, that's one tester, only 11 more to go. And at that point, for the first time, I realized maybe this is where it ends. Maybe PowerHabit just stays my small private app after all, which, to be fair, was the original plan anyway. But honestly, by then I was already too deep in. I had invested time, I had invested money, I had invested nerves, and most importantly, I had already paid Google those $25 one time. And after a few weeks, I found the testers community. You pay around $14. You wait about 2 weeks, and then you get feedback from real testers. That was the promise. So I paid the money, waited. The big moment, I opened the feedback and basically it said add more documentation and a tutorial would be good. So I made the changes, new version, upload again, review again, wait again, and then the test was finally through. Google wanted to know what I had actually learned from it. So there were questions. What did the users test? What feedback did I receive? What did I change in the app? How did I respond to the feedback? What insights did I gain from the test? I filled everything out. I wrote that I had improved the documentation, that I had added a tutorial, that I had responded to the feedback, that the user guidance had become clearer, and that PowerHabit has now easier to understand and easier to use, which was true. Okay, surely it would finally work now, of course. That was too optimistic. Part 5. The organization account. And then suddenly one single word stood between PowerHabit and the Play Store: organization. Months earlier, while setting up YouTube monetization, I had created a Google payment profile in a hurry. There were two options: individual or organization. For some reason, I clicked organization. One click, 1 second, and apparently no way back. At the time, it didn't matter. The profile just sat there in my Google account, empty, unused, completely harmless, until I tried to publish PowerHabit. Suddenly, Google wanted company documents from me, business registration, proof that I was an actual organization. Things I simply didn't have. And the absurd part was my correct individual profile was right there. Verified, ready, sitting next to the broken one. But Google couldn't just switch it, so I wrote to support again and again, different people, same problem, and after weeks of emails, the answer was finally clear. Create a new developer account. Pay another $25. Transfer the app to this new account. So that beautiful word one-time payment became a one-time payment for a second time. I created the new account, started the transfer, fixed one final missing checkbox, and then finally, PowerHabit was in the store. Part 6. The end. In the end, PowerHabit went through more than 160 versions, countless iterations, countless bugs, countless moments where I thought, okay, I'm done. But every bug made the app better, every failed version pushed it forward, and every little improvement brought PowerHabit closer to what I was supposed to be. Until after all that chaos, there it finally was. The final version, stable, polished, ready for the Google Play Store. And honestly, not just perfect for me, perfect for anyone who wants a habit tracker that feels different. No subscriptions, no endless paywalls, just your habits, your progress, and a little world that grows with you. And the best part, I'm not paying a subscription for some tracker I only half like. Instead, I built my own, a finished app. A real app on the Google Play Store. An app that has even been downloaded already, once, by me. That's PowerHabit.